Did you know that during the Tudor period, initial jewellery was at the very, very height of fashion? It had come into popularity during the end of the 14th century, but in the Tudor period, perhaps the most famous owner of these very personal kinds of jewels was Anne Boleyn. And you can see here she's wearing her famous bee necklace, although we know that she owned several similar pieces that displayed her initials. And this bee in particular really displays Anne's pride in her Boleyn roots and is a sign that she really cared about her identity and was keen for it to be remembered. Anne is also known to have had a diamond brooch with the initials R.A., Regina Anna, in diamonds. So this is a piece that was made after she became Queen of England. And we also know that there was another piece in her collection that featured the word most, that formed a part of Anne's motto, the most happy. Now, Anne is often credited with this trend of initial jewellery, but it's important to say that actually this never came from her personally or directly. This was something that she may have been influenced in during her time in the Low Countries when she was in the household of Margaret of Austria. Margaret is also known to have had a fondness of initial pieces, so it's very, very possible that Anne became influenced in this trend whilst she was in Margaret's service. It's also important to say that the trend didn't end with Anne either, and we know that several of Henry VIII's other wives also had initial pieces in their collections. It's interesting though that Anne is the wife who is better remembered for her interest in initial jewels. But, as I say, it's something that neither began nor ended with her. So what actually happened to Anne's famous B initial? Well, we don't actually know for sure, but the likelihood is that it was broken down and recast into another kind of jewel, almost certainly because of its personal nature. What we know for sure is that sadly, it doesn't survive today. It's possible that Anne's daughter Elizabeth did later come to own some of her mother's initial pieces, including a necklace that shows the initial A that Elizabeth can be seen wearing in the magnificent portrait that hangs on the walls of Hampton Court Palace today, the family of Henry VIII. In the Six Lives exhibition, there is a beautiful portrait of Katherine Parr, which is a full length by Master John. And in this, we see Katherine wearing some of the finest pieces of jewellery in her collection. She's got a set of fabulous beads, which feature faces like cameos that hang from her waist. And at the bottom of these beads, there's also a very, very tiny clock that you have to look carefully to see. And we know from Katherine's jewel inventory that she was very, very fond of clocks. There are two that appear in her inventory. She also wears a magnificent ouche or jewelled pendant, and this also appears in her inventory as well as that of Catherine Howard. And it's possible that this may even have originated earlier because it seems to be the same ouche that Jane Seymour is also wearing in her portrait by Hans Holbein. Then, if we look at the brooch that is pinned to Catherine's dress, we see that it is shaped like a crown, and this was almost certainly something that was made according to Catherine's own specifications. This actually also appears in another portrait in the exhibition too, and we can see from this that it was clearly a piece that was highly favoured by Catherine and also reflects her interest in royalty. We know from looking at Catherine's inventory that royalty was a really prominent theme among her jewel collection and really highlights Catherine's desire to be seen as majestic and to be seen as opulent in light of her royal marriage. So she is really keen to underscore her authority, probably because she has come from a relatively humble background, and the fact that she was able to use these jewels in order to make a statement of such splendour is really truly iconic.